London AIM-listed Ariana Resources has just celebrated its 20th anniversary, and with it came results that showed the company is on target to produce 25,000 ounces of gold at its Kızıltepe mine in Turkey. It's meanwhile, it says a strong cash position up on the numbers that we've just seen as evidence with its special dividends it's paying investors. Dr. Kerim Sener is chief executive, and he joins us now here in the studio. Good to have you back.
Good to be here, Jeremy.
First time since COVID broke.
Correct.
Now, 20 years. You've been there since day one.
Day one.
And this company has grown into what it is now, and you're returning all this money to shareholders, and you're exiting one of your key assets, but growing other parts of the company. Explain what's going on in the context of these results you've just produced.
Yes, well, absolutely. I mean, it's been a fantastic run over 20 years. And yes, we developed a lot of our assets originally in Turkey and then diversified into other areas. As a result of that cash out position, we were able to return some of that cash to shareholders, and the final tranche of the special dividend is going to be paid in early October. And then in terms of the broader portfolio, we're growing our interests in Cyprus through Venus Minerals, our interests there, Western Tethyan Resources, based in Kosovo, exploring southeastern Europe, and as well as continuing our exploration activities in Turkey and supporting the development portfolio of Zenit Madencilik, so our existing interests there.
I want to move on to those other projects in just a minute and return to this disposal of part of the Kızıltepe asset. Why are you doing it when clearly the production is on the up? The gold price, which we may get onto in this interview, it's not about that so much. It is off the highs, and of course any returns are going to be less than they would otherwise be. What's driven this decision to exit? I think you've gone down from 50 down to about 20% I think.
23.5%, that's right. Well, we've had a fantastic run of 5 years of really good, consistent production, producing gold and silver above target throughout that period of time. But jointly with our partners, Procea Construction, we felt that the addition of a further partner into that broader framework would be very valuable, particularly in the context of developing the other pipeline projects such as Tamshan. And then we brought our mega asset, the Salınbaş deposit, which is 1.5 million ounces in northeastern Turkey, into that same broad framework. Özaltın, as well as providing the buyout capital, provided $8 million of further finance into the Salınbaş asset specifically, so that we can get that through drilling into feasibility, environmental impact assessment, and eventually on to mining. So it was a broader sort of strategic decision by us, as well as our prior partners, Procea Construction, who are still managers of that partnership.
Let's move on to Tamshan, because that's obviously where the next big, as you say, big move is.
Yes.
How is that going? What are you doing there at the moment?
Yes, so we just announced a couple of weeks ago a drilling program that had been completed. We announced the assays of that. We've demonstrated that there's opportunities to grow the resource beyond the 253,000 ounces that was previously announced. We're going to feed that new resource estimate into the feasibility study. In the process, in the background, we've been completing the permitting required on the Tamshan deposit, and we're moving into the construction stage this month. So we're really looking forward to getting Tamshan up and running as the second mine within the partnership within the next year or so.
So you're happy, going back to this business about paying investors back with special dividends, you're happy that you then won't have that money to invest in this new project?
So, well, what we're doing is we're going out for bank finance in Turkey, specifically for the development capital for the Tamshan project. Now, there's, we're still working on that, so the final form of that is as yet unknown, but we're working on all those other things in the background, including the completion of the feasibility. And then once we're in a position to secure the finance for Tamshan, it will be full steam ahead. But in any case, we're pressing on with the construction stage now.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Venus. This is another interesting project, Venus Minerals.
Yes.
Now, explain the genesis of this and your association with that business, because ultimately I know you want to come to the market with that as an IPO.
Correct.
Don't you?
Yes, that's right. So in terms of the genesis of it, it was really, we were looking in the broader sphere around Turkey and looking at similar geology, and we recognized Cyprus as an obvious place to extend our interests. And the assets in Cyprus, as they were when we commenced our €3 million earn-in to earn into 50% of the project, we're in the North Troodos region on the south side. We've further augmented that portfolio. We've grown a resource base from nothing to about 17 million tonnes of copper at the Magellan project. And then Venus has subsequently joint ventured a 50-50 JV with Hellenic Apliki Mines to develop the Apliki copper mine, jointly with one of Cyprus's largest construction firms, the Akavu Group. So we're looking to develop Venus as the next next copper mining company in Cyprus. Now there is gold, I should say.
Copper and gold
they do go together. Yes, that's absolutely right, and that's actually one of the reasons why we're interested in Cyprus, because previous explorers and miners had looked at Cyprus specifically for the copper and had almost ignored the gold side of the story, although there was evidence that there was opportunity there. And we've certainly proven in the case of the Magellan project, significant gold associated with these copper VMS systems. So that's a value add that our exploration team is bringing to the picture. And yes, it is the intention to list Venus on AIM.
It's a good point, actually. Can I just sidestep the interview on Ariana and talk a little bit about the copper and gold price? Let's bring up a chart of copper, because I think it's important to look. I mean, you're on base metals and precious metals. Copper is on the way down. Spot gold is on the way down. What sort of headwind does this give you as someone that represents the corporate world and trying to raise money and look to invest in mines and so forth?
Sure.
When the price goes down like this, how much more difficult does it make your job?
Well, I would say that, fortunately, we're not in a position where we're raising money. The last time we went to the market was back in 2017, and we've got no need to come back to the market. However, they do set up headwinds when you see pressure on the gold and the copper price and other commodities. But if you look at it in a broader sense and look back at the history and look at the fundamentals, particularly for things like copper and the green agenda, the importance of that to be able to satisfy global demand, those fundamentals are rock solid. So, yes, it might dip now and then, but in the broader scheme of things, over time, the copper price is doing better than it has done for a long time. And I think it's only got one place to go, and that's to continue to rise. And
of course, presumably it's going to be sometime before you start producing
Correct,
copper anyway.
Yes.
What is the timescale for that sort of production?
So once we've completed the IPO for Venus, then it's a very short development timeframe because the processing plant has been dismantled, but just has to be reinstalled at Apliki. So this was a copper plant that had been producing until as late as 2019. So that just has to be reinstalled, new heap leach system developed there, and then we'll be in production 18-month timeframe, max.
Okay. And will investors in Ariana have an interest in Venus when it comes to the market? Do you know what the structure is going to look like here?
Broadly speaking, yes, we do. I mean, it depends on the amount of capital that is eventually raised for Venus as to what our percentage holding is. We're at 50% currently in Venus. That is likely to go down. But in any case, we want a significant strategic stake within Venus going forward.
And Venus is in Cyprus.
Correct.
And we've been talking about your Turkish assets, but you've also got assets in Kosovo.
Correct, yes.
What's going on there?
So in Kosovo, so this is going back a year or so, we set up a company, Western Tethian Resources, based in Kosovo, put in some applications in some very prospective ground, again for copper-gold projects. Those licenses have since been granted, and we've also secured a deal with Newmont as a strategic exploration partner. They're bringing in their database for Southeastern Europe, all their expertise. They've got a great technical team. And we're looking to further identify other projects within the broader Southeastern European region. So Greece, Macedonia, Kosovo, obviously, Bosnia and Bulgaria, Serbia. So right across that region, we're rolling out an exploration program.
Clearly, a name like Newmont makes people stand up and listen. How difficult was it to engage a company of that size in a project of this size that you're talking about?
Well, Newmont's been an amazing exploration company, and we had a relationship going back with Newmont over very many years in Turkey.
Yeah.
We had access to their exploration database in Turkey. We've utilised that in the past, and will continue to do so. And in fact, our currently producing asset, Kızıltepe, was originally a Newmont asset. And they drilled it and identified an opportunity. So we've had this, 15, almost 20-year relationship with Newmont, and so it was not particularly difficult to engage with them on a new exploration frontier, particularly given that southeastern Europe was not previously on Newmont's radar. So we're bringing the team and the capacity to be able to do that exploration work.
Mm. Let's look ahead, if we can. I want to bring up a share price chart. You and I have spoken a number of times over many, many years about this project, and I always like to ask the question about what's been priced in. I mean, difficult times, don't get away from it. We know that. We've already seen the copper price, the gold price, base metals, precious metals on the way down. Markets generally, there's a lot of concerns about the outlook. You are a company that produces gold. Gold at the moment is down but not out. What do you say to investors about the share price? How do you still engage with the retail investors when they are not in as good a position as they were a year or so ago?
Yeah, well, it comes down to the fundamentals of anything. You look at the way that we've progressed our business over time, and we've stepwise grown that business onto more and more solid foundations, but we're still retaining the exploration upside. So yes, we're backed by a production story in the context of Kızıltepe and soon to be Tamshan deposits in Turkey, but we're using that as a platform for future growth, not just in the regions that we've just mentioned, but also through our Asgard Metals Fund in Australia, where we're taking minority positions in very good early stage, discovery stage project opportunities through other areas, so Kazakhstan, Western Australia, and Laos.
Mm. And as a geologist, obviously you get heavily involved in this sort of project.
We do, yeah.
So we'll be looking forward to some more news on that. Just explain how the next H2 of this year is going to develop. What's the priority now?
Yeah, well, we've got
the special dividend, of course, has to be completed. That's the first thing.
Absolutely. And so the rest of the year, I mean, we've got a lot of exploration underway in Turkey. So we've just kicked off another 14,000 meter drilling program at Kızıltepe to further grow the resource base there, because ultimately we want to take that up to a 10-year mine life. Mm-hmm. At Tamshan, I've mentioned that we're doing a new resource update there. We want to increase the projected mine life at Tamshan. At Sullenbusch, we've got a rig still active. It's been plugging away since late last year through some very difficult weather conditions, but that will be joined shortly by probably another 2 rigs over the course of the remainder of the year, because we've just secured forestry permits in a number of the other licenses for the Sullenbusch project. So there'll be more news out of Sullenbusch. Then we have the news about Venus in time, when we're in a position to IPO that company, as well as all the exploration news coming out of Western Tethyan, because they're kicking off a big field season there. Yeah.
Look, one final question has to be about the 20 years. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
As I say, since the first spade went into the ground with your first project. Thinking back in that period, what would you tell your younger self about where you are 20 years ago? And have you seen the company develop as you expected it would do?
Well, that's a very, very interesting set of questions there. What would I tell my younger self? Keep the faith. I mean, it's something that we have done as a team through some very difficult times. And, the recent market hiccups are nothing compared to what we've previously experienced. So I'm not fazed by that sort of thing anymore. And that's the most important thing, to be bold, keep the faith. And then in terms of, where we'd expect the business to be, we always set out to explore, identify a mining opportunity and get into production. And we've done that. And we've done that in the case of Kızıltepe. We're going to do it again in the context of Tamshan and possibly in other locations as well. That's what we're all about. We're about finding deposits, good deposits, identifying partners that are capable of extracting the value out of those deposits, and then to move the business forward.
And is there another 20 years in you?
Absolutely.
Okay, look, I'm looking forward to going into that period with you. But Kerim, thanks so much indeed for joining us. So
Thank you.
Kerim Sener is the Chief Executive of Ariana Resources. For more videos from us here at IGTV, join us on Twitter at IGCom, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.